It's time now to take a deeper look into our event theme on how the new India Inc. is helping India carve out a new narrative on the global stage. It's a great pleasure to welcome our next special guest, who in fact started his own journey in Silicon Valley. During his time as an entrepreneur, he built India's cellular sector from scratch and was amongst one of the first unicorns in technology, even before the term unicorn even came about. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege and an honor to welcome to the stage Minister Rajeev Chandrasekhar, Minister of State for Skill Development, Entrepreneurship, Electronics and IT for the Government of India.
Okay.
Minister Rajeev, here we are again.
Yes.
On the stage together. We're sharing the stage together again. For those of you that didn't know or didn't see, yes, we shared the stage back in Dubai in December. And we spoke very much about sort of upskilling and reskilling the workforce and the $1 trillion technology economy vision that you have as well. Just sticking with that theme as well, just going forward. Because it's International Women's Day tomorrow, I thought we'd maybe tie those two themes in.
Okay.
So what's your sort of message for the women in the audience today when it comes to upskilling and reskilling that sector and how sort of important they are for the economy going forward? What would you say?
This was a bit of an ambush, but I didn't come prepared for this. I was all ready to speak about New India, but since you've asked me that question, look, I think the last 2 years of COVID have demonstrated a kind of resilience amongst Indians that was A, unprecedented, and B, it has in a sense reset our own expectations of ourselves. And it is quite clear today that be it women or men, and since you've asked the question about women, that it is almost like there is a move or a mood that makes the women believe that they can do anything. And I use this example to demonstrate what the underlying changes that are going on in people's own ambitions and how they see their future. In the skilling ecosystem, there is a small piece called the plumbing skilling ecosystem. And conventional wisdom has it that plumbers are all men. And we've seen during COVID uptick in the number of women going into the plumbing skills ecosystem, seeking skills in plumbing. And so a little bit of a dive into that to understand what was going on threw up this very interesting phenomenon that women believe that they can be plumbing sales supervisors and plumbing service supervisors. So I believe what is happening today is that the ecosystem has been built over the last 4 or 5 years that presents to man or women multiple opportunities to skill themselves, upskill themselves, and reskill themselves. And women who believed before COVID that they were going to only pursue, let's say, A, B, C skills, now are looking at completely all of the options on the table, and they believe they can pursue anything. So we are encouraging that. And particular parts of the skilling network called the JSS, which is targeted only at women, we are doubling the size of it. And we expect to reach more women with skills that are digital skills, skills in the digital ecosystem, giving them digital skills in whatever else that they try and attempt. So I think there is a sense of confidence and a sense of aspiration that has come post-COVID that is allowing women, that is empowering women to pursue pretty much all of these skilling opportunities that we have built over the last 5 years.
Thank you so much. And I do apologize about the ambush, but that was
okay,
very well said indeed. Thank you so much. I'm sure a lot of the women here do appreciate that as well. So let's move on to the new India Inc. Tell us your take on that and what's it going to take to make the new India Inc. thrive going forward, do you think?
Look, and I think I touched on this when we last spoke in Dubai. I think one of the things that people may have picked up or may not have picked up is that as we celebrate this new phenomenon of entrepreneurship and this startup ecosystem of this scale and size and magnitude, it is important to understand the journey that has brought us here. And it is really the last 5 years of these real tremendous tectonic changes in the overall economic ecosystem that is causing, I heard the young entrepreneurs here sit and talk about their future, that they can take their dreams and opportunities and make them real. I come from a time where I thought I was a smart aleck entrepreneur some years ago, some decades ago. And I can assure you that the system was stacked against you. And in 2012, I raised in Parliament a question about how come 2012 was just 1 decade ago, 10 years ago, how come 97% of the banking system of India, its net worth was concentrated in loans to 9 families. That was the India then, where there was a concentration of capital, there was a concentration of opportunities. These opportunities and capitals were available to very few percentage of Indians. And now we have, over the last 7 years, completely restructured and changed the financial system where a young entrepreneur, whether he's from Bengaluru or Hyderabad or wherever, is able to take his dream, raise the capital, go out there and build a business, not worry about a big Indian company or another company muscling him out or her out. And so this is a dramatic transformation that has happened, not in a dramatic instant, but over the last 7 years. And that is the new India that we are today celebrating. And that is the new India that we want to now further accelerate, expand, and grow. And so qualitatively, quantitatively, the economic landscape that we see today in 2022 that helped us during the last 2 years of COVID be so resilient and fight this pandemic has not happened through any miracle. It has happened through a lot of hard work by our Prime Minister and the government. And I'm glad today that people are celebrating India as this fastest growing startup innovation ecosystem. And I think in a lot of ways, it is reimagining India's future and resetting our goals and ambitions for the next 10 years.
I do have a couple more questions for you when our other guests are going to join us, but we're going to throw out to our audience. Our audience now, I'm going to give you guys a voice. We have 2 questions from our audience. Do we have any questions? We have time for just 2. For the Minister, this is your very unique time to ask a question, if we have any. Do we have any questions? Yes, we have a lady just here in the front. Tell us who you are and where you're from, and your question, please.
Hi, I'm Anjali Saini. I'm from Bangalore, also from Silicon Valley, and also work in a software company. We have a software company that has a product, intellectual property. And I want to ask the minister one thing, because he is from Bangalore, is can we have more investment in the Bangalore infrastructure? As you saw, the host took like 2 hours to get from the airport to here. As entrepreneurs and as business people in Bangalore, we are really losing a lot of money and a lot of time, and I think it impacts the revenue to the government also. I think if we can improve the infrastructure in Bangalore, it would help business accelerate even faster. So I'd like to ask you what you can do for us.
Now look, so I don't know how long you've been in Bangalore. I'm assuming you've been here for a while.
15 years.
Okay, so I've been here a little longer than you, and if you've followed the work of a lot of us in Bangalore, we have struggled with this issue for many years. And part of the problem has been there hasn't been a consensus in civil society about what good governance in a city should look like. So there has been arguments that it's all about great roads, and you forget about the fact that we don't have sewage infrastructure or solid waste management. So there has been this discourse. People are frustrated. People have been different types of opinions on this. But here is what I believe where we are today. Given this huge piece of the economy that now is real and was a dream, let's say, a few years ago, which is the startups and the innovation ecosystem. In my opinion, and I'm not Chief Minister of Bengaluru, I'm not Chief Minister of Karnataka, but I believe I have some clout there, that if the standard of living or the quality of a city does not attract an entrepreneur, does not attract an innovation ecosystem, and does not sustain it, that ecosystem will flee. And there are countries like Dubai and Singapore who are just waiting with a little fishing rod with a dangle bait that are out there to attract our talent and our youngsters. So I think it is now less of an academic discourse on what is good governance and should we have good roads and should we have solid waste management, and now becoming a strategic imperative for India, for Karnataka, for Bengaluru, for Hyderabad, that if you want to remain competitive and if you want to retain our talent and continue to attract investments and create jobs and all of the other all of the other things that come from this, we will have to do better in terms of managing our city. So I'm hopeful. We have a new chief minister. He has announced $1.5 billion of investment in Bengaluru. He has a great vision. He's known for his governance. He's known for institution building. And I am very hopeful that over the next few years, we will see a Bengaluru that we deserve and that we knew.
Thank you so much. Good question there as well. Thank you. We'd have time for one more question. I think we're going to go over here to this gentleman just to the front.
Good evening. My name is Vignesh and I'm from Chennai. I own a business in construction material. But since I'm in contact with all my colleges and where I studied, what majority concern is that people of my age want to start something new. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. But the major hurdle comes in is where they have a question in mind, what to start. And if I want to start something, where to look? So this is the question I want to ask.
I don't think that is the job of a government, is to encourage those who want to be entrepreneurs, create an enabling ecosystem to allow entrepreneurs to be successful. Now, I don't think it's really in the scheme of things anywhere in the world that we catch hold of young people and say, this is what you ought to do. Yes, we'll hold your hand while you do it. I don't think that's what entrepreneurship is about. I think it is about finding out what you're passionate about, identifying it, creating a broad business model around it, and then pursuing it. I draw the distinction between wanting to be an entrepreneur, which is like a fashionable thing to do now, amongst kids especially. I have a son who's 21 years old, and when I ask him what does he want to do, he says, I want to be an entrepreneur. And if you have a follow-up question about what entrepreneurship do you want to do, then you go a little hazy. Yeah. So it's not enough to say, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be a unicorn. There is something to it. There is an effort. It's not just about waking up one day and saying, I want to be successful. Yeah. There is some effort required in it. And I can assure you all of these success stories that you hear today are about real effort, real technology, real innovation, real IP, real hard work. And anybody who believes that there is a formula minus effort, grit, determination, and hard work, I'm sorry, but don't come to me then.
No, but does it revolve only around the technology? Or
No. Okay, if that was your question, I think that's a good question. Entrepreneurship today is not limited to tech or digital. But it is safe to assume that in pretty much anything that you do, let's assume you're doing construction, you're doing 3D printing, or you're doing additive manufacturing in some small type of construction, there will be a digital element to it. It is a safe assumption today to make, and I say this when I go to colleges and universities and schools, that regardless of what you study, what your passion is, you must have digital skills. And so as an entrepreneur, as a budding entrepreneur, and that is what a lot of what our skilling ecosystem is doing, is to ensure that there is more than a little digital skill that you imbibe or you learn or you are exposed to as you go out and create something in law or construction or agriculture. Look, I believe, for example, the next wave of entrepreneurs are going to be in agri-tech. Correct. Which are really about, and I've heard tremendous stories of people coming up with really great, brilliant ideas in agriculture. But there is a tech layer to it. There is a tech platform to it, or there's a tech enabler to it. So it's not all of this is not to do with technology, but it is tech-enabled for sure.
Good question. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've got time for one more. I think there was a lady at the back just behind. Can you tell us who you are and where you're from as well, please?
Good evening. My name is Atira. I am a public policy professional. I work with Uber. So my question is, considering tomorrow's International Women's Day, just wanted to understand, currently the percentage of women in the labor force in India is around 20%. It must have declined to a lesser number considering we had 2 years of COVID. But what are the kind of initiatives that are in the pipeline that will promote more women to join the labor force, considering there is a huge skill gap that deters them from joining the labor force?
No, so like I answered in the first question, so first of all, I want to say it from my perspective because I'm not Women and Child Development Minister and I can't tell you about the entire workforce. But I can say this, that we have seen that please sit, that for example, part of our skilling network called the Jan Shikshan Sansthan, which really targets women and rural women, have done remarkably well during COVID. It has created entrepreneurship, micro-entrepreneurship of a scale that we never even imagined before. And I have gone and visited them and I've seen how women have spoken about how they have run their households during COVID because of the skills and the tools that they learned through the JSS. So we are expanding that network. We have 800 odd all over the country and we will do 1,600 of them over the next 2 years. In addition, through a conventional skilling network, we are basically encouraging more and more women participation in hitherto conventionally non-women areas, like I said, plumbing, automotive, security, all of these areas. So women participation is being encouraged. Now, leaving that to one side, and me wearing the other hat, which is the technology hat. In the technology space, the last number from NASSCOM is that about 40 to 42% of the workforce is women. Yeah, so Meenakshi just corrected me, it's 48, and I will never dare contradict her. Dangerous to contradict Meenakshi ji. So, no, so 48. But again, on the entrepreneurship side, on the startup side, we've seen a slow pickup on women startups and women unicorns. So we are focused on that. We are focused on enabling more and more women to start up. We have a program in the ministry that is going to really target women entrepreneurs, not just in Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Pune, Mumbai, Chennai, but also Meerut, Agra, and tier 2, tier 3 cities. So we believe the talent is there, the aspirations are there. And I'll just end, I know time's up, I see that in red, but I'll just explain one, I'll give you an example. I went to Kashmir as part of a mandate the Prime Minister had given to all of us to go. And I visited as I was a skill minister of Polytechnic. So there's a huge group of students and the students were asking me questions. And somewhere in between, I noticed a group of young girls on the corner, Kashmiri girls, and they said, we want to talk to you. And they turned at me and I said, I was expecting some discussion about terrorism or Pakistan or something like that. But they walked up to me and said, look, if you really are serious about women empowerment, as the Prime Minister says he is, why is it that in my Polytechnic, I don't get courses in computer science and electronics engineering, and I only have civil engineering and mechanical engineering? So that genie is out of the bottle. And I think women and men today are seeking out skills that will put them on the track to more and more opportunity and prosperity.
Another great question there. Thank you so much. That's all we've got time for questions. But I must say the number of questions really does reflect, the interest and the skills and the talent needed going forward for the new India Inc. Thank you so much. We do have a couple more panelists coming up just right now. But I just want everyone to give a huge round of applause to the Minister there for being with us here today. Thank you so much.